the Antichrist power. Revelation 13, 11, and 12. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth, and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. In Revelation 13, 11, and 12, John speaks about a nation with global influence, symbolized as a beast rising out of the earth. What's interesting about this beast is its split personality. At first, it appears to be harmless, but later it speaks like a dragon and calls the world to worship the sea beast. Since this beast is working with the sea beast, the papacy, it is part of end-time Babylon, and so we need to identify it. A close look at the timing of this land beast helps in its identification. The answer for the time this power comes on the world stage is laid down in some facts concerning the sea beast, or as we know it, the papacy. It was after the sea beast had one of its head wounded to death in Revelation 13, verse 3, and that wound being healed, that John sees the land beast coming up. Since the deadly wound met its fulfillment in the temporary overthrow of the papacy by the French in 1798, we have the time when we are to look for the rising of this beast from the earth. The words "coming up" means that the power to which it applies was then in its youthful stage, the early part of its existence. So, our eyes must be fixed on the year 1798, when the deadly wound was received, as we look for this world power, existing today, which was at that time just rising to prominence. Using this description as our guide, and searching through history, we find the only world power that meets the specification of the prophecy in regards to the time of its appearance is the United States of America. The struggle of the American colonies for independence began in 1775. In 1783, the war ended with a peace treaty with Great Britain, whereby the independence of the United States was acknowledged. In 1787, the U.S. Constitution was framed, and on the 1st of March 1789, it went into effect. So, at the time of the deadly wound, in 1798, America was still a young, independent nation. As the prophecy stated, America was just rising to prominence. Now we must note what else Revelation 13, 11, and 12 tells us about America, the lamb-like beast. John wrote that, "He spake as a dragon." This means this beast has a split personality. It appears to be harmless as a lamb, but in reality, it has satanic characteristics. It speaks like a dragon or as a devil, which means the policies this power enforces are on the surface appearing to be good, but in reality, they are evil. Verse 12 continues, "And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed." The prophecy in Revelation 13:12 of America, the lamb-like beast, causing the earth to worship the beast from the sea, is a prediction of an alliance between 2 global powers in the end times. The formation of the Antichrist power. Nations going back as far as the Medes and Persians, who once were in control of the first Babylon, have always formed alliances, so that where one is weak, it can rely on the other for strength to accomplish a common objective. In Daniel 7 verse 5, the rising to power of the Medes and Persians is depicted as a bear that raised up itself on one side. The same fact is represented by the 2 horns of the ram in Daniel 8. Of these horns, it is said that the higher horn came up last. This was fulfilled by the Persian division of the kingdom. Although it came up last, it became the dominant power in the nation. Now, by understanding these 2 prophetic symbols of the Medes and Persians, we can get a clearer understanding of the rise of the Antichrist power in our time. In Daniel 7:5 states that the bear raised itself on one side or brought itself to power by relying on the strength of one side. This means two things. The first is that these two nations, Medes and Persians with two different governments, became one government, one side. The Antichrist power today is also seeking to create a one-world government. This is commonly called the New World Order. Also, the bear raising itself on one side means that one part of this alliance was militarily stronger than the other. In Jeremiah 51, verse 11, reveals who had the military strength in the Medo-Persian Empire. It says, "Make bright the arrows, or make sharp the arrows. Gather the shields. The Lord hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple." It was the Medes who played a major military role in conquering Babylon. In the Antichrist power, it is the United States who has the military strength. Daniel 8, verse 3 says, "The ram had two horns, but the higher horn came up last." Horn is symbolic for power, authority, or kingdom. This higher horn coming up last means the real power or authority is acting behind the scenes and resides in the higher horn. The higher horn in ancient Babylon was the Persians, which at first was simply an ally of the Medes, but later came to be leading the empire. Likewise, the power behind the power in the end time is the papacy. These two global powers, the United States of America and the papacy, will come together to accomplish two objectives: religious and economic dominance of the world. When the Medes and Persians came to power, the king's first concern was maintaining economic control of the then world. Daniel 6, 1 and 2 states, "It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage or no loss." Now, it was also during the reign of the Medes and Persians that Daniel's freedom of worship is challenged. A law regarding worship is passed, and his life is threatened for keeping the law of God. Daniel 6, verse 5, records the words of those who plotted against Daniel. "Then said these men, We shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God." Like with ancient Babylon, in the end times, there will be an alliance between two global powers, the United States and the papacy. When this come to pass, a law for the observance of Sunday worship will be enforced, and all economic activity, buying and selling, will be controlled. We are living in the time of the end. The fast-fulfilling signs of the times declare that the coming of Christ is near at hand. Great changes are soon to take place in our world, and the final movements will be rapid ones.